what we write, and then we'll talk about our questions. Myrtha, would you want to
Yes.
start?
Hi, I'm Myrtha Jasmin. I self-published my first book last year. The name of the book is called The Black Lily. It has some romance in it. It has romance, murder, and a little twist of everything. Basically about a guy by the name of Joey Tillman who he falls in love, and then his life kind of goes to shambles after that. After meeting two beautiful women by the name of Victoria Brown and Lady B. Johnson.
Hi, I'm Maria Imbalzano. I'm a divorce lawyer by day and a romance writer by night. I write single title.
That's a story in itself.
Any of your divorce questions? I write single title contemporary. I've got 2 books published with the Wild Rose Press, and I'm just about to sign a new contract for a 4-book series.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. I'm also an attorney, part-time. But anyway, so I write in 2 genres. I write historical romance for Kensington and also Entangled, another publisher. And I also write cozy mysteries for Kensington. That's what I do.
And I'm Terri Brisbin, dental hygienist by day, USA bestselling author by night. My 45th romance novel just came out in June, and I've written pretty much, I've written time travels and fantasy paranormals, as well as, but most of my books are historical. And I've written for Berkeley, Jove, NAL, Kensington, Harlequin, St. Martin's, and done some self-publishing.
And she's a USA Today bestseller.
Yeah. So, but I also want to thank Maria, because we had a couple of cancellations on our panel, and Maria was nice enough to step in, and she's not been to this group before, so it's kind of her first time doing these, but thank you for stepping into the breach there. So I wanted to start with about how you write, because I was fascinated listening to the horror people, and I was fascinated listening to the paranormal and YA group, because as many authors as there were writing processes that were different. So tell us, Myrtha, a little bit about how you write.
I tend to write all over the place. I'm definitely I think was it planning and plotting. That was the first time I heard that. So I'm definitely a plotter. I have to really get into the zone, and I can appreciate when you guys talked about music. Unfortunately, I didn't have that luxury, because I feel like the music can distract me, and I couldn't go to a Starbucks because people were talking and so on. But I tend to, when I first started writing, and my editor said to me, I write in script form. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, okay, I'm writing in script form.
What does that mean?
I don't know that.
Like 3 act, yes.
Oh, okay.
I said, really? I said, oh, okay. And then I was taught to write another way, more like a novelist. So it's like, you have to stop what you're doing and learn how to do it this way, because this is how you'll get recognized, this is how people will understand you, and they'll know what's going on. In my mind, I always feel like I have an alter ego with me when I'm writing, because I have to piggyback off of the energy that I'm giving out. And not that I talk to myself, it just works best for me. Because when I'm writing, I'm like, would I do that? Would he or she do that? So writing for me was difficult in the beginning, but now it's just like a walk in the park. And I find myself, I have notes everywhere. I have to write things down because I'll forget, not purposely. It's just that I'm so busy doing other things. I am a parent, and that's really much it when it comes to my writing style and my writing skill. And I will definitely say that I'm a thinker. I like to think it, and would I do this? Is this crazy enough? Will somebody believe it? Is it believable? Will somebody do it? And the answer is yes. 9 times out of 10, somebody will do it or have done it.
So I'm a plotter to the nth degree. I don't know whether it comes from being an attorney and analyzing everything to the death, but I start with chapter 1, scene 1, and I do a blueprint, which could be like 50 pages. It's really, it is crazy, I know. It's, I get a new notebook, cause I write it, I don't do it on the computer, I do it in a notebook. So I develop my characters, at least something about my characters ahead of time. I obviously have an idea about the story and what the conflicts are going to be and what the black moment's going to be. I think about all of that ahead of time. And then I start doing this blueprint, which that's how I start every new book.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I was also fascinated by what the horror writer said. So I think I started out more like a pantser, but once you're under contract, I don't have that luxury anymore. So I am more of a plotter now. I don't do a 50-page outline, but I will have maybe an 8 to 9 page outline of where I want to go. I have also discovered, I don't know if anybody uses Scrivener, but I started using Scrivener, which really helps me mentally break it down by chapter and by scene, and I can move scenes around if I need to, because sometimes that happens. So now I'm more of a plotter, but not a 50-page plotter. I really admire that. Maybe like an 8-page outline of where are the scenes where I know that I have to include, and then of course the characters sometimes go on their own route, and I have to follow that. But that's what I do now.
Yeah, I wanted to say when I think it was Brian that answered about he outlines and does this, and I kept thinking, your characters let you do that? Because my characters don't.
Yeah, sometimes.
Do you do drafts? Do you do multiple drafts when you work?
Yes, like it's not, the first draft is not the final draft, that's for sure. I also listen to, I don't remember if it was Brian who said they'll write something, they'll end the day with like in the middle of a scene, and then the next day I go back and I edit that, and it helps me creatively, and then I go ahead and I write a new scene. So that's the way I work.
Do you do drafts, Maria?
I do. I edit also to death. Everything I do takes forever.
Okay. Myrtha, do you
I do.
write it more than once, or
Yes.
are you just okay?
Yes. That's yes. Yes.
Okay.
But I don't edit anything.
Okay.
I cannot, because it's like brain surgery.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
Well, my process is kind of, it has changed in a way, but I was very much, my other life, half of my brain, I'm a science brain, and I do things very methodically and use all those critical thinking skills. And then in writing, I hear voices and write what they tell me. So I very much stay a pantser, except that now I sell on proposal, which means I have to tell an editor what I think the story is going to be. And so I do use the words, and then through a series of events, so I do have to have some general idea of the story. But when I start writing it, generally, I'm writing about 2 full books and usually 2 short projects a year. And so it takes me usually 3 or 4 months to write the first 100 pages of a romance novel. And during that time, it's percolating. Like you said, thinking, it's percolating. And then I generally write the rest of the book in the last 2 weeks before the deadline, because I'm a deadline binge writer. And unfortunately, I've trained myself to do it this way, so I find it very difficult to write otherwise. But it generally takes me, so it's not pretty. I don't recommend it for anyone over 20.
So I assume you don't sleep like those last 2 weeks?
No, generally I usually pull 2 or 3 all-nighters at some point to finish the book. But I do the same thing that you all mentioned about, I could stop in the middle of a sentence when I'm writing. It just, if it's done that day, it's done. I just stop, and then the next day I kind of go back and edit what I've written and then move forward. But I only write 1 draft. I do it once and it goes to my editor.
Wow.
At the publishers, yeah. And so it's scary. Don't do it. When I say don't do as I say, do as I tell you to do.
Well, interesting. I don't go back and read what I did the day before.
No.
I just keep going because I'm following my outline. And I do veer off. I mean, the characters talk to you. They change over the story. But I still always go back to that. But I look at it, and it's probably not a good way to look at it, but it's a waste of time. I just want to keep going. I don't want to go backwards. I just want to go forwards. And then, I mean, I edit. I probably have 10 drafts after that.
I'm breaking out in hives from the 50-page blueprint and the 10 drafts. I'm breaking out. When I think most of us are, well, the three of us are traditionally published.
Yes.
Myrtha, you are just self-published?
Yes. I
So why did you decide to go that route for all of us? What was?
Self-publishing for me, I think it worked better with my time, and far as like it gave me the flexibility to do the things I wanted to do. And also I was new, so I didn't know. And so it comes to a point where you're asking so many questions. People say, you should go this way, you should go that way, you should go this way, you should go that way. I'm like, I'm not too sure if I want to do that. And then I did also look into an agency and publishing houses. Of course, I did my research on that. And I said, well, can I afford that? Should I do that? Is that the right thing for me to do? Is that a smart move? It's almost like I was playing chess with my ego, my alter ego, saying you should do this, you should do that. So I decided to self-publish only because it fit my budget, and Amazon and Create Space have that platform for new self-published authors. And it just worked. It just worked very well. And of course I use social media. And earlier today I wanted to mention that I don't feed everybody on social media about the Black Lily. They get to know who I am as a person, a human being first, and then I bring them over to the other side because I do have a fan page of the Black Lily. I just invite you, regardless if you accept it or not, you still know who I am.
Right.
I'm an author, I'm a mother, and so on and so on. So people are like, interesting. And people are very nosy. So everybody wants to read what's going on, whether it's good or bad. People are very nosy in the world. So if you have a story to tell, people are interested into knowing what you're talking about.
Do you guys, Maria and Tina, agents, publishers?
Yeah, I do not have an agent. I had an agent, and I felt that I was probably the low person on her totem pole. I felt like she really wasn't working for me, and there were a few things that I thought she wasn't being truthful. She told me she was sending my book out to 3 publishers, and then when I talked to her about who she sent it to, she changed the publishers, and it was the top publishers, but it was just, I just didn't have that good feeling. So I ended up firing her, and then I just went to publishing houses that would accept unagented material.
And I think in romance that's more common than in other kinds of fiction. Romance still has publishers that will take unagented.
Right.
Yeah, very few do. Tina?
I'm on my second agent. I love my agent. I would not have been able to sold to my traditional publisher without my agent. She does a lot for me. Even though I'm an attorney, I can talk to her about the contracts, what I want in the contract, what I think is unfair, and she'll negotiate that for me, which is better for me because I don't want to look like the bad guy to my editor. That's the agent's job. So she's the businesswoman. She approaches the editor with the contract provisions that I find unfavorable, and she will do that for me. If anything comes up, I don't like the covers or I have any issue, she'll do that with the editor so that I stay, rosy and peachy with my editor. She does the bad stuff. So she also has sold all my books. I will look into self-publishing one day. I have nothing against it. But as of right now, I'm under contract and I'm happy, and I couldn't have done it without my agent. I also found my agent at a writer's conference. I pitched to her. So I would really recommend that if you're looking for an agent, there's nothing better than face-to-face.
Do you have the same agent, did the same agent sell both your romances, and we'll talk a little bit about different genres, but you have the new Cozy Mystery series.
I do have a Cozy Mystery series. I write under a different name for that.
But same agent?
Yes.
Okay.
She sold my mysteries and my romances.
Okay, cool. I'm on my 4th agent, having my 3rd agent go through that phase that no agent is better than a bad agent, and my 3rd agent is history. My 4th agent did more good for me in the first 2 weeks of our new relationship than the previous agent had done in 10 years. And that didn't include a contract. So that will just tell you, to me, agents handle a lot of the the messy things,
Yes.
the issues that come up. I also have an agent who I write a lot of books for Harlequin. I think the book the book that just came out in June is my 27th for them. And my agent that I hired last year understands their perspective in terms of going into contracts when it comes to advances in publishing terms. And she's had more insight into how they work and what they're thinking than any agent that I had before. So she's very beneficial that way.